let's get into the meat of the conversation. And let's talk about the defense. Ron Roberts, I don't have the clips queued up here, but Ron Roberts was talking about the defense, heard a lot of buzz from players about what's going on with this defense. What are you all hearing? I know, Dylan, you said mostly what you're hearing is about offense, but have you heard any good things about anybody on the defense? Anybody you're super excited about that you've been hearing buzz about?
Hey, I always make fun of the school all the time because the North Texas guys I've been hearing a lot about, or Larry Nixon for the very least. The Auburn feeder school that is the North Texas Mean Green. I've heard a lot of people have been really excited about what Larry Nixon can bring to this team, and I mean, I always make fun of it. The linebacker position is probably one of my biggest question marks for this team, just because it's just always Austin Keys and someone else.
Right.
But I think whenever you look at the two, I think Austin Keys kind of plays off of Larry Nixon the best. And Larry Nixon's a guy I think can plug into a lot of holes. And in a very run-heavy side of the SEC, with Arkansas and Texas A&M always has a loaded backfield. Bama always has a loaded backfield. I think Larry Nixon fits in very well in what could potentially be a five-man front on the defensive line with Larry Nixon there.
Okay. Mike G, how about yourself? Any defensive guys that you're hearing good things about during fall camp?
Yeah, obviously Elijah McAllister's name has been mentioned as a leader. So he'll be kind of like a symbolic piece to this team, as well as a player who sees the field a lot. But still hearing a ton of good things about Keldrick Falk and the work that he's doing right now. Kanan Lee is having a good camp, and Zacchaeus Walker. So, I would keep an eye out on all these guys. It's quiet. It's quieter on defense. It is when you talk about who's doing well there. And I think in some ways it's kind of a little harder to gauge how those guys on defense are doing in camp. But from what I hear, Auburn is very assignment sound on defense. Guys know what to do. They know where they're supposed to be, right? And they're absorbing this system at a high level. So Keldrick Falk, I'm really excited to see. I'm really excited to see Keldrick Falk. It appears that Hugh Freeze's staff has taken up, again, we talked about it when we were mentioning Jay Fair, the play the best guy approach to this.
Right.
In year one, trying to get the best people out there. So I think it says a lot for Keldrick that he's rocketing up the ranks a little bit. His teammates are talking about him. The same way Jay's teammates were talking about him. They really feel like this kid is going to be good, and understanding what you have to do is the first part. So if you don't know where to be and you don't know what you're doing, it's hard, even with all the talent, it's really hard to put you on the field and trust that you're going to be where you're supposed to be. So Keldrick Falk, taking things in, man, learning at a high level. I love it. I love what I'm hearing too. I'm also excited to see Zacchaeus Walker as well too.
He's a guy, another guy that the injury has really been his biggest issue that's kept him off of the field. But yeah, hopefully see some things. Anyway, didn't mean to cut you off. Continue.
Yeah, so he had some catching up to do, with the injury. And I love it. I love what I'm hearing on defense. They have to get a little better, I think, in the run game and stopping the run. But if they can get pressure, generating pressure on the quarterback is going to be a huge thing for this defense this fall. Then Auburn has a chance to be really, really good on that side. So, that's what I'm hearing right now. It's a long way to go in camp, obviously. You hope guys stay healthy through the end. But they're developing depth right now, and that's going to be a really important piece for Ron Roberts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, besides the guys that you've already mentioned, another guy, and you talked about generating pressure, Jalen McCloy is turning some heads, and his ability to come off of that edge and really be a pressure guy for this defense. I'm looking forward to seeing how he translates the hype that he garnered in the transfer portal via what he did in that Texas A&M game into a consistent thing against SEC defenses. I think that he's got the skills to be able to do it. If you guys didn't already see and you're a member or you're a patron, you can watch it on demand. But I did a watch the film session on him. And I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be out there causing havoc for the defensive front when he's out there in the game. But I'm actually also hearing some good things about Steven Sings, the young man who transferred in from Liberty. Mike's mentioned it a couple of times how Liberty's defensive line was one that led the nation in tackles for loss and
Yeah,
generating pressure.
I think
Uh,
they were like third in sacks or something like that in the whole
so
country.
you got a guy who was one of the leaders along that defensive front now playing the jack position here at Auburn. He's another talented guy. I don't have a lot of tape on him. I'm going to try to see if I can go and find some, but I am hearing some good things about him, particularly in his ability to be able to hold steady in the run game. Right, so he's might not be the sudden quick pass rush guy that McLeod is, but I am hearing some good things about Steven Sings in that regard. So when you put those three guys together, you already mentioned, Elijah McAllister, Steven Sings, and then you add McLeod to that mix, I think we have a mix that will allow us to be multiple at the jack position and be able to do some sub package things that I think are going to be really good. Other guys along the defensive front that I'm hearing about, you already mentioned young Keldrick Falk, who is
Right.
going to be a good defensive end for us. I think Marcus Harris is just a stalwart up there that's going to continue to do good things. And then I haven't heard as much about Walker, but I mean, he is a guy that I'm hoping flashes. Aniche Sledge is another guy that always gets kind of under the radar. I think I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do. And then I have heard some really good things about the young guy who just got there, and Darren Reed up front and being disruptive in the middle. Don't know what that's going to translate to as far as his uh, position in the depth chart, but I do think that he is a talented young man up there in the front. Getting to that second level in the linebacker room, a room that you've mentioned already, Larry Nixon was one of the guys that you already talked about. But the guy who I've kind of been on for a minute here in that room has been Eugene Asante. I think Eugene Asante is I think he's gonna make some people feel the pressure this year. As far as he's a guy, when I talk to players about him, he's just kind of always doing the right things. He's showing up on time. He's a good locker room guy. He's a good energy guy on the field, and he can run. And he understands where he's supposed to be assignment wise. I am looking forward to seeing how he progresses in this defense this year. And Ron Roberts has said good things about him. Ron Roberts is a big linebacker guy. I know he's the defensive coordinator, but he's big on, he cut his teeth as a linebacker coach. So if Ron Roberts likes him, and if why is his name escaping me right now? Aldridge likes him, then I have no choice but to believe their assessment plus what I've been hearing from his teammates about him. And then you get to that last level, and you already mentioned the guy, K.N. Lee. Man, there, I can't find a person who thinks that K.N. Lee is going to redshirt. Can't find one. Everybody says this kid will be playing this season a lot. So he just has a tremendous work ethic, and he goes about everything the right way. Again, this is accounts from his teammates that I'm talking about. People are just saying, the kid K.N. Lee is special, man. He's going out there. He's working hard. He's going to get his opportunities to come play. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what he is going to be able to do out there in that defensive backfield alongside a guy like, DJ James, who is a consensus, at least amongst people who know what they're talking about, all SEC guy. I think it's criminal that he was third team all SEC. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. Yeah. The snub there doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But I think that this defense has some players and they have a chance to be really good. If Auburn can win time of possession and not hang these guys out to dry a whole lot this season, then I think their numbers, by the numbers, they'll be a really good defense. They have the talent.
Right.
If they can stay relatively healthy and with this schedule, this very, very favorable schedule, and Hugh Freeze's first year, it's going to be interesting to watch and see what they do. In the spring game, I know it's been a long time since spring, but I saw some things definitely that they needed to work on, but it's tough because we didn't get to see the offense air the ball out at all because of the weather. We didn't get to gauge a lot from that spring game. So Auburn has their first scrimmage coming on Saturday, and it's going to be big for them. It's going to be really big for them.
Is it this week or next week that they're having fan day down there?
It's this Saturday.
Okay, so first scrimmage is this Saturday, fan day this Saturday. So a lot of things happening down there on the plains. A lot of eyes going to be looking at what's happening. I caution people. I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I do it. I'm going to do it. I don't know why I do it. I'm going to caution people from taking too big of a leap from what they see in a scrimmage that they're obviously not going to be showing their hand too much in, and taking that and trying to extrapolate what they think is going to happen with this football team as far as depth chart and playing time and all that sort of thing. But it's going to happen because that's just what people do. I get it, but I am looking forward to seeing them. Hopefully the weather holds off and they're actually be able to do some things this time and show some guys throwing some passes and all that sort of thing to assuage maybe some of the thought processes that we can't throw the ball. But I know I'm going to hear and see a bunch of overreactions on social media and in discords and all that. It's going to happen, but I'm cautioning people against it. But again, I just wasted however long I was just talking saying that because everybody's going to skip right over me saying that and do it anyway. But it is what it is.
Oh, Auburn's going 15-0. It's already been decided. Right?
I mean, or they look really bad during the scrimmage.
Oda, are you here?
Yeah. Nah, that's Imani that's going to say that.
Nobody.
Or they're going to look bad in the scrimmage and everybody's going to be moaning about how terrible that we're going to be, and it's going to be a bunch of Heather Dinich reactions where it's like, have some patience with this offensive line, guys, have some patience with our defense. Like, it's going to be that sort of thing, right? So
I'm hearing great things about the O-line though, man.
Yeah. But it's hard to gauge, right? Like, is the O-line doing so well, or is our defensive line performing so poorly? Like, I don't know the answer to that.
It's like the same thing with the defensive backs too. I mean, are we actually good at quarterback, or is our DB room just locked down? I mean, you just never know, and that's just right. Practices against yourself too.
Yeah, I think when you have a talented team on both sides of the ball, you see your fair shares of wins and losses on both sides. Right. Sometimes the defense. I mean, ultimately, the old adage for coaches was if your defense gets torched in the spring, that's usually not a good thing.
Right, which that's why the I think warranted reaction about how poorly we played in the 8-day game and stopping the run is there, right? Like, it's like, okay, well, the defense shouldn't be getting beat this badly in the run.
Yeah. I mean, it was raining. You knew they were going to run the ball. Like, they didn't throw a ton of passes.
Right.
And
make them throw it in the rain. I don't care. It's like put 12 guys in the box for get a penalty on every play. I don't care. Stop the daggone run, man.
Yeah, so all signs to me point toward it's starting to even out a little bit. You're seeing the defense make some great plays. You are seeing the offense also starting to make some great plays. What do they say? There's no defense for a perfect pass.
Right.
There's not. So if your quarterbacks are going out there and they're putting the ball where it needs to be, then you might see the defense losing some. So, yeah, I don't think there's much. There is. You can defend a perfectly called play, right? But I think it's really, really difficult to defend a perfectly executed play. So, if they're executing at such a high level that even a real good defense is having trouble stopping them. How many games have we watched, guys, from like some of the better players over the last few years, like Joe Burrow? Like, how many times was it a perfectly defended play, but he put the ball the absolute only place the receiver was going to get it?
Right.
Is his guy or nobody? And if you're doing a lot of that, then I think you're going to see it more often than not that both sides are winning. And when you're the defense and you're going up against a really good offense, when you go out on Saturdays, that's the toughest competition you would have seen all week.
Right.
Was your own offense. I think that's what makes Alabama and Georgia so good. Is that in practice, they're facing the best that they're going to see.
Right.
And very few teams have the talent to give them the kind of challenge that they see in practice every week.
Right.
That's what you hope Hugh Freeze is building with this recruiting class that's got so much momentum right now. Hope in 2 to 3 years, the talent is so stacked that in practice, these guys are getting challenged every single day. Yeah, we did an old school interview with Courtney Taylor, and he talked about going up against Carlos Rogers, who's a Thorpe winner.
Right.
And he said it. He said, listen, I knew if I could beat Carlos, wasn't nobody going to stop me on Saturday. He's the best. So I like it. We've heard some one-off stories about receivers talking about going up DJ one-on-one, and it's been said that Coach Hugh Freeze likes to come into practice, stop the show, and be like, one-on-ones right now. Let's go.
Right.
Heads up. Let's see who wins. I love that. That is so much fun. The players' face lit up, Dylan, when they told us about this. They were like, yeah, he'll just come in and stop practice and be like, hey, one-on-ones right now. Quarterback, wide receiver, DB, let's go. Yeah, and then we asked Camden, we were like, who won? And he was like, I don't know, the ball's overthrown. But but still, just a lot of fun for them to know. You know who won that route, though, regardless of where the ball was at. So I'm telling you, this is something that we used to bemoan about Gus, was no ones versus ones, because he didn't want people to get hurt. Man, the hell with that.
Yes, that's why you build depth,
best
so
on
you
best.
don't have to worry about that. And then let's
best
go.
on best.
What were you going to say, Dylan?
I was going to say the one-on-ones whenever I play football were like one of my most fun parts of like being an athlete. I was furthest thing from an athlete, but I just wore pads.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like one of the funnest, one of the most fun things about going to practice was like, all right, we're about to see. I'm in a 4A high or 3A high school. Let's see best on best. Let's see who can go up and get it. And it was always fun because if you get mossed, you get clowned for it, and everyone's in there pushing around, having a fun time. And it's great for team chemistry too. And it's just something that we've just not seen from this Auburn team in 3 years. It feels like this, and it's just been dragging along these last 2 years. And now players are excited to go to practice with Hugh Freeze just because, maybe today we're about to have some fun. DJ versus Shane, or Nehemiah versus Nick Mardner, just stuff like that. It's just going to be so fun for these players, and it really gets them hyped up for this year.
Yep, looking forward to seeing, what all of this produces when it comes to the actual games. But again, the first taste for most fans outside of what we saw on A-Day, but including these new guys, is going to be the scrimmage coming up this Saturday, Fan Day as well. You guys make sure that you are in the plains for that.